What's up guys, I'm Josh and welcome to my video on making Buzz Lightyear realistic and maybe a bit boring with CGI and VFX. A quickish breakdown of the process and workflow behind my Buzz Lightyear renders and animations. I actually started working on this project at the same time as my last one, which was the Woody's Roundup characters from Toy Story 2. I was originally just going to do some Buzz animations, but quickly realised I should do the 2D animated show Buzz Lightyear Star Command, which if you haven't seen it is still actually pretty good. One of the biggest things that changed throughout this project was that I originally had in mind a very clean sort of Star Trek look, but CG characters and environments often look a bit too plain and clean anyway, so I made everything a bit more worn and scuffed, leaning more towards Star Wars instead. For Buzz, I roughly mapped out his size, proportions and style to match Woody, but unlike Woody, who I struggled with, I pretty quickly put Buzz together. For Buzz, I imagined him having a shaved head, and being a sort of no-nonsense rule-following space ranger. Something a bit like Captain America, which I guess is why Chris Evans was Buzz in the 2022 movie. My version of Buzz was going to be something between that and sort of Commander Shepard from the Mass Effect games. So after I made this sort of generic looking guy, I got to work on the suit, as I knew that'd be the main thing that you'd be looking at anyway. My original plan was to combine parts from the pretty movie accurate Kingdom Hearts 3 3D model and this nice Lightyear movie 3D model I got from CG Trader. But the more I tried to make different parts work and fit together, I actually ended up just customizing the toy parts to fit a human body, and only ended up keeping the abs and sort of groin section from the 2022 version, with a totally new undersuit. Then I added a bunch of metallic and plastic textures to the suit, and it was pretty quickly getting somewhere I was happy with. I added this spacesuit headset piece that I got from Character Creator, which is where I made the base for Buzz, and where I make pretty much all of my characters. And Buzz was ready to go, along with the base for all of the other Space Ranger characters. The next character was Buzz's partner, and spoiler alert for a 20-year-old spin-off TV show, eventual bad guy, Warp Dark Matter. He does eventually look like this, but when we first see him, he's just another Space Ranger, so all it took was building his head in Character Creator, shifting the skin tone to be blue, and swapping that into the same setup as Buzz. I did the same sort of thing for Miranova, who was another head swap, and some slight edits and adjustments to make the Space Ranger suit fit the basic female proportions. Booster is a much bigger and differently proportioned Space Ranger. I figured a realistic 3D version of this character would be something sort of reptilian or frog-like, so I used the DAZ 3D base character, Bulwark. I added the basic shape in Blender and then the textures in Photoshop, which was just shifting the colours and some quick edits. Keeping the balance between looking like an alien, but not too realistic or creepy, took a bit of dialing in, and one of the biggest things that helped keep that sort of cartoony look was adding pretty simple human eyes rather than the actual alien or reptilian ones. I also reduced the shininess of the skin, as even though I think he maybe would have quite shiny or oily or greasy skin, he did start to look a bit gross. XR is this little Space Ranger robot, and he was actually pretty simple to put together, thanks to him being pretty basic shapes, and I found two really good models. One was a 3D print file on Thingiverse, and the other was on CG Trader, and I ended up using these as a sort of 3D reference to make my own version, which, like the Space Ranger suit, just has lots of simple materials with a little bit of wear and tear. For the Little Green Men, or LGMs as they're called in the show, who are the Star Command scientists and the people that actually made XR, I took the head from this model and added it to the body of another short scientist I'd already made, my realistic Dexter from Dexter's Lab. I just altered the outfit a little bit and changed the colours, which only really left me with working out how I was going to do the alien skin. After making Booster, I knew it couldn't be too shiny or gross to fit with the other characters, and that giving them simple eyes is the key to making it look kind of fun and cute rather than creepy and scary. But that said, the material I did end up going with is actually a procedural material for pickles. I got this Ryan King pickle material and made it a bit less lumpy, varied and shiny to kind of look like an alien skin. The original version with the texture just out of the box is kind of hilarious and kind of terrifying. For Buzz's ship, I wanted to do something that felt a bit like the Buzz box we first see in Toy Story and the designs for the 2022 movie. They actually ended up making a bunch of different ships for the Lightyear movie, and each new experiment they do in the film resulted in a brand new ship design, all of which were heavily inspired by Star Wars, and they all look really cool. I decided to like the XL-14 ship the most as a take on the original Buzz box shape, so went for something between the XL-14 and a Star Wars A-Wing. My version is just made up from some simple Kitbash 3D spaceship parts, and the cockpit is just from an existing spaceship model I already had. Sort of the other way around from the rest of the project, I originally wanted a more worn and aged Star Wars looking metallic texture on the ship, but in the end a simpler, cleaner, plain plastic texture looked and fit the best, and fit with the characters I'd already made. It's not perfectly like the box or what I had in mind at first, but I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. With all the good guys finished, it just leaves the bad guys, Zurg and Agent Z. Like Buzz and XR, Zurg is a combination of a few different game models, custom pieces, and this 3D print model I got from Thingiverse. The cape is just a simple piece of geometry with some actual cloth simulation on it to help add some extra realism. And for Evil Warp, it's a combination of retextured parts from the Space Ranger model, using the colours and metals from Zurg, some parts like the chest are from Zurg as well, and a new metal arm I put together from some Kitbash parts. And with all of that, all the characters were done. This is the most amount of characters I've made for a single project, but a lot of them shared various parts and materials, so it wasn't too much more work, and they were all pretty fun to put together. This is the first project where I only did one animation, but the one animation I did make is a sci-fi Space Ranger shooting range, mainly designed to mirror the Woody at the shooting range scene I put together for my last project. Didn't have anything too specific in mind other than the rough matching and swapped angle from the Woody scene, so I got a bunch of sci-fi parts, laser barriers, and a hanger from various Kitbash 3D kits. And then to match Jesse and Pete walking by, in the original version I had Warp and Mirror Nova walk by in this one. And after everything was rendered, I added the camera shake, motion blur, some simple audio of spaceships, lasers, and some general background hanger noise, and it was good to go. Once I'd done the animations, I quickly threw together a 3D logo, and that was about it for making Buzz Lightyear Star Command kind of realistic with CGI and VFX. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. And for more projects like this, Realistic Woody's Roundup, Ed, Edd n Eddy, and Dexter's Lab, be sure to like and subscribe.